that you would have to contribute would go way up. So I think they're trying to find a balance at MERS of being conservative, being somewhat conservative, but not go way out of line. So, and again, the returns have been fairly decent over these last few years as well. So,
on page 37, the remaining amortization period is 14 years closed to new hires. What does that mean?
so that's the period with which when they're amortizing that unfunded liability, that's the period with which they're doing it, and they've closed that, so it reduces each year. So it goes from 14 to 13 and will decrease every year, as opposed to open, which is what a lot of plans were up until probably 5 to 10 years ago, where it would be a 30-year amortization, and then it just reset each year and stay at 30 years. So it's trying to pull that amortization down and get it to the point where eventually it will come down, theoretically, could be to zero, but I don't know that it will actually ever get to.
So is the amortization staying at 14 years, or does that decline?
That declines
every year by
every
one?
year, yeah.
Because the new employees are fully funded based in the calculation. Because it says close to new hires. That's what I infer from that. That new
Right.
hires are fully funded.
Well, new hires wouldn't be in the plan if it's closed to new hires. New hires couldn't go into the plan.
Our plan is not closed to anybody. A new hire
Right.
can still get into the MERS plan.
Right.
But there's other entities. Yeah, other entities that have, so starting from 2022, any new hires are not into this plan. But we don't have we don't have that. We have nobody qualifying for that.
Our new hires are
Yes.
in the plan.
We have an open MERS plan.
Right.
We offer the defined benefit to all our employees, except seasonal. If they are here for 6 years, they gotta be vested for 6 years to qualify for the pension.
I believe in talking with the manager in St. Joe County that their new hires are not in MERS. They have gone more to a
Defined contribution.
defined contribution plan. I'm not sure exactly when they made that switch.
Right. So I would say I'm confused then by
The wording on that.
yeah.
Yeah, and again, some of that is standard wording with the MERS plan. So I can double check it against what's there. I think the idea though is that it's still closed and they're still using the same amortization period. And again, some of this wording we pull right out of the MERS plan.
So I guess I would want to follow up to see if that's appropriate in our financial statements, because if I read it, first of all, I would read, if what you're saying is true, that would indicate, if I'm a reader of this financial statement, that this plan is closed to our new hires, and that's not the case. So again, I thought it had something to do with just that amortization being closed to new hires, so all new hires are fully funded. And again, I don't know that.
Right, well, what I would say is, I mean, the employees that are eligible to be in it are described in other parts in the footnotes. The RSI is just one place, but it does not say in the other parts of the plan where it talks about employees covered, those types of things, that it's closed, so.
Our new hires are, okay, they're not into the MERS plan until they're totally vested. So if they're only here for 2 years, they don't get.
I know, and it says that, it says the vesting period, and I read that elsewhere. To me, I would just want clarification that that's the proper wording for the footnote.
Right, and again, there's that's RSI, but the status on it, if you go to page 27, it does say open.
Right.
So I will look at it to see exactly and run it past some of ours. And we can make it, mean, I'll tell you, I wouldn't reissue your financial statements for this one
You
purpose.
would correct it going forward.
But correct it going forward, we can look at it to make sure that it's
And
correct.
that's kind of what I wanna know, is
Yeah.
what is correct, because it is confusing if I'm reading it in
Right.
two different places.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's worth noting, and I'm sure you guys all saw this, is that the actuarial methods are based on 12/31 of 22 information. So our pension actuarial information is always lagging.
Well, and it's lagging, so this 12/31/22, there's two different parts of it too. The contributions for 24 were based on the evaluation for 22. It's always gonna be behind, cause you've gotta set it ahead of time.
Yes,
And then the actual numbers that are in there
Right.
for your liability and what that's calculated is based on the 23 valuation, rolled forward to 24. So it's,
I'd like to,
it's one big estimate that's not precise, but,
and you're the only person in this room that would catch that.
Kudos.
but I would say the good thing is, over time, we are increasing our percentage funded, which, again, that fluctuates based on assumptions. It's not just, because we're making our contributions as we're supposed to. So assumptions do affect it, but currently, we're in a pretty good position. I guess in 21, we were in the best position at 79% funded. I'm looking at page 34.
We had a lot of people there.
So that year, we were really, really funded, but again, not that we were falling off or we made huge changes to the plan, it's just a matter of probably earnings on the plan and overall assumptions that year.
Retirement.
Anything else for me? Are we all good?
I need a motion to accept the audit report.
So moved.
Support.
Any more discussion?
One comment. We don't have to have a single audit done pertaining to the road commission because we don't have any federal funds or not enough federal funds. How
so
does that work?
it is fairly unusual for a road commission to have a single audit. Because most of the federal funds that you do, if you do get any federal funds at a road commission, it almost always is administered by the state. And they take on the responsibility for
The single
the
audit.
compliance, and so it fits into their single audit, but you don't have to have it. So, there's very few that
Okay.
end up flowing through, especially if it's coming through MDOT directly, that kind of stuff.
Because our bridges on Territory Road right here would have been federal funds.
Mm-hmm.
And that probably would have triggered a single audit based on the amount, but it was administered through
Yes,
MDOT.
and we have our MDOT audit every year, but they're always 2 years behind.
And then the other federal funds, and I don't know if we had any, if we had federal dollars to repave some roads in 24. Camden Road or Bankers Road, was that federal?
Bankers and North Adams was local.
Yeah.
We
Our
had
2024 federal
Yeah.
project was the Camden Road that just finished.
And we did it this year, not last
But didn't we
year.
have
Yeah.
safety grant for the
Yep.
rumble?
But that would have been enough. That was fine. So anyways, that was just,
Yeah.
I'm glad I asked the question, because that does.
That's why you don't have one.
That's why we don't. Okay.
All right, we got a motion to accept. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great day. Yeah, she is.
I like the short version. Kevin, you're back up.
Yep, you're back on deck.
Territorial road culvert, it's all set, they should have it fully backfilled today.
Oh.
Still won't be open till next week because we gotta get the guardrail put back up, cleaned up, seeded, mulched, riprap and all that. Everything has went good so far, the two showed up on time, you made time to set it, and, yeah, everything there's going good.
Good deal.
State crew is finishing up, mowing of the state roadsides. We had a little stretch on 49 that needed to be done yet, and then he's finishing that today, so we'll have all of our state roads mowed the first time. I do have a few, at least a couple guys coal patching every day. We started limestone and gravel patching last week, I think it was. Camden Township is done, Reading Township is done, Cambria Township is done, Litchfield and Fayette have both been started. They should finish up Fayette Township today. And then we'll do Hillsdale Township while we're right there, and then go back up and finish Litchfield Township. We stopped Litchfield Township until I could get a total on the amount we had hauled, so I didn't go over what was contracted with them. And I finally got the totals, so we can go back and finish Litchfield, and then we'll move over into Scipio and just follow the same
As you did before.
same route that Brian's been going. Probably, I think he's off next week, so the following week, we'll start spraying salt brine on the spots where we have patched.
Mhm. How many tons of limestone did you put on Bear Lake Road? A lot.
They decided, I talked to Joel Bowers about their limestone, cause they were gonna start over on roads we'd already coated, but had never done anything with Bear Lake Road.
Right.
So I talked to Joel about doing Bear Lake Road, cause nothing's ever been done to it that doesn't hold. And he was fine with that, so we went in and put, I think about a foot fill through that one swampy spot
Right.
of gravel. And then coated the whole road with limestone. So we did Bear Lake Road, Edgewood Drive, and Cleveland Drive. And they bought 2,250 ton. So the majority of it went on
Bear Lake.
Bear Lake Road.
It sure made it a lot nicer.
And once we get that sprayed with brine, it'll really be nice.
Everybody I've talked to at Gelsers that just come in and stuff, has said their roads have never been better.
Yeah, until you get to Wright Township
Yeah.
and Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
Man,
they're neat and scrape down there, but that's the way it falls when you go in that order.
when you're last.
So, Heather's gonna take care of the mowing thing, so that's about all I've got left.
I got a comment from a resident of Jackson Township, said that our roads are better than theirs.
Good.
Good. Good.
And he wanted to know if I was in relation to Angie Klein. And I said, no. No, I'm not.
So I have a couple questions. So the Buckeye Road, the tube,
Mhm.
so where is that located from M99? How far east of M99?
2 mile, cause it's between Bird Lake and Tripp. Be
Okay,
the last big tube before you get to Tripp Road by Douglas's.
okay. Do we have any kind of a ballpark number of what it's gonna cost to do
Nope,
that?
not until Eagle tells us what we can or can't do there.
So likely we're not gonna get to that this year.
Last, board meeting, you guys okayed the proposal for CEI to do the design engineering. And they, in their proposal, they said they would have 22 weeks to do their portion of design engineering. So we won't even submit a permit potentially for 22 weeks, which is close to 6 months.
Close to
So you're
a
looking
year.
at winter before Eagle even gets involved in it. And then it'll be up to them whether we get to it in the spring or summer of next year.
Well, the reason I'm bringing this up is I got to thinking about it. You know, in terms of cost, this is a local road, Amboy Township's gonna have to help pay for that, right?
Yeah, not likely.
If it's a local road, they have to have,
But it won't be Amboy, that'd be right.
oh, Wright Township.
No,
Pittsford Township's your cutoff. Likely's,
Pittsburgh Roads.
Pittsford Road's your cutoff between Amboy
Yeah, but
and Wright.
you told me this was between Bird Lake Road.
Well, you said Likely Road.
No, I said Buckeye Road. The
Okay, we'll go back to Buckeye, cause that is in Amboy. But
Yes.
you said the Likely Road, that's why I kinda give you that funny look,
Uh,
cause I didn't know nothing about Likely. So,
if I did, it was
Yeah,
my mistake.
okay, yeah,
Sorry
we're
about
back to the same tube now, but yes, that is Amboy and it is Buckeye.
And so, you know, if this is I'm just gonna throw out a number, if this is $100,000 project, you know, Amboy's gonna get a fairly significant
Right,
hit.
yes.
And so I don't know whether Bob or you, either of you have communicated this at all with the Amboy Township Board.
I thought we had talked to John Burkhardt about it, but I can't swear to that, whether we have or haven't.
They're aware of it, but once again, their question is, well, do you have a dollar amount? And we don't have a dollar amount, so they haven't been told a dollar amount. They know that we're looking into it with Eagle, but they have no clue on the cost.
So do we have some idea of the cost of the tube on Territorial that's we're in the middle of replacing right now?
I don't,
I would have to pull the invoice if you, I don't
I mean,
remember off the top of my head, but.
Obviously, the tube is a big cost, but then there's also gonna be some significant labor costs
Right.
too.
yeah, and I don't see none of the costs, so I don't know what the tube costs or what we end up with labor.
You would think the one on Buckeye is not gonna be as big or as extensive as that
It
one.
would be pretty close. They'll be pretty close to the same. Cause that's a big tube on Buckeye also. Might be a little shorter is all, but it's gonna be pretty close to the same size.
So in terms of a dollar cost for the Territorial Road project, we'll probably have an answer for that within the next month or 6 weeks. I mean, I think that might be sort of a starting point for the Buckeye
At
Road.
least an icebreaker for them.
Yeah, a ballpark number. You understand my concern?
Yes, I totally understand
Yeah.
what you're looking at there is sticker shock when you go tell them, hey, you're gonna be on the hook for part of this.
So you may have talked about the Territorial Road project when I was out. The reason I went out, Nate Balderman's dad worked for the state of Michigan local audit division for 40 plus years. And so he and I became good friends over time. And unfortunately, his dad died of a massive heart attack sometime within about the last 3 or 4 years. And so I just wanted to know how his mom was doing. And then Nate also has a son that married a niece of mine. So we have some longtime friendships and family connections there. So the Territorial, if you could just.
They should have it totally backfilled today. Next week will be clean up, getting the guardrail back up and seeded, mulched and rip wrapped, and everything goes good. They should be done by next week.
So there's
Next week.
a good possibility that by the end of next week, we can have the road open.
If everything goes like it has been, everything's been going good. Like I said, they should have it backfilled level today. And then, like I said, it's just clean up and getting the guardrail put back up before we reopen it.
Will we, put a layer of blacktop over that, or will we?
We'll let it set for a little while.
I figured.
We'll have to keep going back and patching where it wallers out and everything.
Yeah.
But yes, it will get blacktop back in. Not as long as what we normally leave them lay. That one will get it a little quicker because of traffic.
Yeah.
But yes, it's gonna get millings put in it for the top foot.
Mhm.
And millings don't usually move too much once we get them in, we get them packed in.
Right.
So that's what it's gonna get, is millings, and then maybe in a month, we'll go in and pave it.
So unless we get some really adverse weather, there's a good possibility we can have it open for the 4th of July
Yes,
weekend.
yeah, if everything goes good, it should be open back up for the 4th of July.
That'll make a lot of people happy.
But like I said, everything so far has went good.
Yeah.
So,
And then, I had some people tell me there were several good-sized potholes on Lake Wilson Road between Mechanic and M99.
okay.
I haven't seen it myself, but this one gal said that, they were sizable. And then also, I know you talked about mowing on the state highways, but there's 3 spots between the road commission and where M99 turns south that I think need some attention, especially before the 4th of July weekend. The one is right at the intersection of where M99 turns and goes south at the blinker light. If you're setting at that intersection headed north and you look back to the west, that's not mowed very good there. There's a lot of tall weeds and stuff. If you're in a
So
car.
right across from the gas station.
Yes.
Between that and our pit ground.
Yes. And then just west of there, from Lake Pleasant Road east 200-300 feet. That ditch bank there needs to be mowed back as well, because when you're sitting at the intersection of Lake Pleasant and looking to the east, it
So it's
creates.
right there in the Family Dollar.
Yep,
Okay.
from there east on that north side, there's a stretch of that it needs to be mowed back better than it is. And the third spot is at the corner of Doty and M99. When you're setting at Doty, headed north, you look to the west. There's some small trees and brush. Maybe like a couple 100 feet west of the intersection that stick out far enough that you gotta get right out to the edge of the intersection to be able to see very good.
North looking west.
And it's on the south side of 99, sort of, across from the edge of where 34 used to be.
Is the contract mower still mowing?
Yeah, Heather's gonna
Heather's
cover
gonna
that.
follow up,
Yeah.
finish.
But I think these 3 that I talked about, one of our
Yeah,
guys,
we'll take care of that with our
Yeah.
boom mower.
Yeah.
Cause the mowing contractor didn't do any of the state roads, we did them ourselves.
Heather, you're up.
Okay. A little bit before I get into mine, Territorial Road, the culvert, we did hire SME to come out and do density on that to make sure that they got that backfilled properly and reached compaction. He's been out there, this is his 3rd day, and he's gonna test everything right up to the millings, and then it should be good to go. But I wanted to let you know that we are having density tested on that. Elm Road, I sent an email to Eagle, just checking in to see where we're at. Haven't heard anything more from them, but, we are gaining ground. They call it the Part 31 part of it is completed and approved, but the permit itself is not approved yet. And I have not heard back from Rachel, who's the manager of the permit or head of the permit or whatever.
So there's a pretty good chance we're not gonna get that.
With everything
that
else
this
that
year.
we have going this year, I don't foresee us, even if after the 4th of July, we got the permit, by the time you order the tube and all that stuff, I think it's gonna be a spring, summer project for next year.
Yeah.
Is what I would guess. the Buckeye Road, west of Bird Lake Culvert, and the Somerset Road, north of Stewart Structure. CEI is gonna start doing the design engineering, like I said before. We're 6 months out from even having a permit, submitted. So that could potentially be, hopefully next year and not the following year. There are 3 culverts that are on our radar. Frontier Road, south of Burt Road, Tamarack Road, east of M99, and Bacon Road, east of Rumsey Road. Bacon Road, we've already done a site review with Eagle on that, but it needs some design engineering done. Frontier and Tamarack, we have to submit for the site reviews. We're gonna wait till probably later this fall to do those. We know Eagle's already overwhelmed, so why do the reviews and speed all this up when we're still waiting on Elm Road from 2 years ago? But those are on our radar to be looked into and to get replaced in the near future. And we'll have to do a proposal for the design engineering on that as well. Camden Road's wrapped up. They did the pavement marking yesterday? 2 days ago? 2 days ago, Tuesday. They got the pavement marking done. They're supposed to pick up all the traffic control signs and cones and stuff today. So that's officially done. The next federal aid projects we have is the paving we're doing on Concord, Herring, and Jonesville Road. That is set to start, the actual construction work will start July 14th, but the week of the 8th, they're gonna mobilize into the area, set up their signing and stuff like that. But they've got milling and leveling will be July 14th through July 16th. Mainline paving will be the week of the 21st. Then they'll have shoulders and monuments and pavement marking to follow. But that's supposed to be wrapped up by August 16th.
Are they doing all 3 roads this summer, or they're doing
Yes,
1 road?
no, all 3 roads. It's like 5.33 miles or something like that, but yeah. And when the pre-construction meeting, they said that they're probably going to start on the one that's farthest away from them, which would be Concord Road, but they haven't solidified that yet, that plan, but.
Are they gonna be done with? I'm sorry.
August 16th.
Thank you.
Yep. Let's see, we checked on, Kevin checked on East Diane and Sellers with Blaine. He has not completed the little bit of ditching that he had left to do. So we've done nothing with Monte Carlo yet. We haven't put any gravel down or anything. I do have the letters to send out to the townships. I have that ready to go. Bob's already approved it, but it's just sitting, waiting, because he has to finish his stuff before we even start the process.
Turn up the pressure a little.
We're not in any hurry to pave Monte Carlo,
That's
so.
his problem at this point.
Right. Back a few months ago, you might have remembered that we had a soil and erosion and sedimentation control audit with Eagle. The guy came in Monday to check on the Territorial Road. He wanted to see an active site, so we went down and met with Al Cole on Territorial Road culvert. And then he checked the Montgomery and Woodbridge Bridge, the twin Territorial Road bridges, and the Hog Creek Bridge site. He was very pleased with everything, didn't have any complaints. We had to put together a soil and erosion plan. He took a look at that, everything looked good. All the things that Al did on Territorial Road were great, so we got a A+ on that. And obviously Territorial and Woodbridge were contractor driven, but he was still happy with those. As far as the mowing contract, I got an update just as I was sitting here. They pretty much have, I know they have the entire east half mowed for the first cutting. And they've got everything on the west side done except for parts of Reading, Allen, Hillsdale, and Cambria. They brought in 2 extra mowers this week and started down in Camden and Amboy and have been working up to meet the guys that are coming down from the north. So.
And he told me he plans on having everything wrapped up by July 2nd, so that he's done for the 4th.
Yeah.
He wants to be done and out of here for the 4th.
And I wouldn't be surprised if they're wrapped up this week,
Right.
from what he just sent me.
And 4 tractors mowing.
Right.
They're moving right along.
Yes.
Yeah.
They are.
I think that was the best decision we made.
And the tree contractor, we chop. We got them a list back a couple weeks ago, I think.
2 weeks ago.
And, they've started working on that. I believe the first round list that we gave them had 18 locations on it with multiple trees. And they've knocked out 4 for sure of the locations. They're already asking for the second list because they're sending out a person ahead of the crew to kind of inspect it, see how much work's gonna be done, and they're ready for the second list already. And then the second list, I believe, has 22 locations with multiple trees, so,
I think they're sending in the second crew.
Yeah.
The way he talked yesterday, they were wanting the second list because they're gonna send in the second crew.
and they're sending me daily updates on what they get completed, where they've been working. They're coordinating with us very well,
They got the tree up at Half Moon Lake, I see.
probably.
Dead tree that looked like any day it was gonna fall on the road.
So that one was there, and I think they did one on Millens just south of, North Adams Road too.
And South Hillsdale Road, they got one there. And then an update on the stump drain project with Matt Word. I called and talked to him this morning. He said the downstream work is on schedule and should be completed by the end of next week. And he talked to Slazarski, who is the contractor that's doing the portion on 99, and he said he's a little bit behind on his project that he's on now, so instead of middle of July, he's saying more like the end of July. End of July, 1st of August is when he plans to start the 99 job, and Matt will keep us up to date.
So is Camden Road open again?
Yes, Camden was only closed for a day.
Okay.
Yep, they got that.
And they actually moved that up a day from what they originally planned. They got up to the road quicker and they called and said, hey, we made it to the road quicker, can we close this a day earlier and possibly do it in a day? And, well, yeah, go ahead, and within a day, they were across the road and back open, so.
Good.
And he wanted to make sure to update that the herring drain work that he has on Litchfield, or in Litchfield up by 49, he said that is planned to begin the first part of August. And that's all I have.
Any questions?
So I don't remember which road it is. This is, on the Amboy Woodbridge Township border where Matt talked about.
Frontier and Harmon.
Okay. So, is there any progress being made there, or is that still kind of at a standstill, or?
I sent an email to them to follow up to find out how their meetings went, because when we met with them here, they were supposed to take it back to their boards and discuss it and try and get some action. I've only heard back from Woodbridge, that's where Martha Crow is, right? Woodbridge Township got back with us and said there was no action at their board meeting, but the consensus of the board was to wait on filling the road and see what the drain can do. Amboy has not responded at all. I talked to Matt this morning about it as well, and he said he's just gonna continue as planned, and he's not gonna be able to get as much done because they're not able to contribute any additional money, but he's gonna go ahead as planned, and I think we're holding off on the bill until somebody gets back. Well, we'll follow up too, but until we hear back from the township. But as far as I know, Woodbridge is not wanting to do the fill at all.
So, I was at Woodbridge meeting 2 weeks ago, and there was some discussion about this project, and are some differences of opinion. And one of Amboy's board members happened to be there that night. And so, my opinion is one of the biggest detriments to roads, good roads, is excess water. So why not solve the water problem first before you spend money trying to fix the road issue? Long term, that's really what needs to be done. And Bob, you're gonna fall off your chair. Charlie Watkins agreed with me.
No way. I heard he'd been sick.
So, and of course, I'm sure this is what Martha Crum wants to see done too, because she understands the issue. It sounds like maybe one of the stumbling blocks to doing what Matt wants to do is the fact that, one of the guys on the Amboy Township Board owns a fair bit of ground in that area and may get stuck with a special assessment. I'll pay for the cost. But here again, you know, if you can look at the big picture, why don't we do things the right way rather than throw money at it and 5 years down the road, wish we would have done it the right way. That's sort of my view.
Okay, any old business? I don't know, man. How about new business? We're back to public comment. Doug, you gotta have something. Anything else we should discuss before we adjourn? No? Does everybody agree?
I think so.
All right, we stand adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you very much.